Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, that's good then. Okay, so I think we are pretty ready to start, right?
Yes. Let me just going to
Uh,
turn on the
okay,
video.
yeah, no worries. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 20th webinar of our esteemed 24 in 2024, the Changemakers of India series. My name is Tanisha, and I'm thrilled to be your host for today's insightful session. At Whiteboard Foundation, our mission is to bridge the gap between education and the corporate world by bringing you closer to industry leaders who share their knowledge and experiences to help you succeed. Through this exclusive series, we are spotlighting 24 of India's top changemakers, each offering valuable guidance and insights to empower the youth of India for a successful career. Today's session is extra special as we'll be diving into an essential topic, mastering corporate communication skills, a crucial aspect that will set you apart and enable you to thrive in any workplace. Our special guest speaker for today is none other than the inspiring Ms. Divkiran Kathuria, Global Director, Talent L&D, Talent Agility, Talent Marketplace, Tech and Transformation at Seagate Technology. With an impressive background, including experience at Deloitte, Oracle, PwC, Genpact, and Max Life Insurance, Ms. Kathuria brings a wealth of knowledge on communication, leadership, and talent management. Today, she is here to share her expertise on how you can elevate your corporate communication skills to make a strong impact and position yourself for success in the workplace. Whether you're a fresh graduate, a current student, or a young professional, this session will be packed with career defining insights and practical strategies that will help you communicate effectively, stand out, and make your mark in the corporate world. Without any further ado, now let's begin this exciting journey of learning and inspiration. Please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to Ms. Divkiran Kathuria. Also, before we begin, here's just a quick reminder for you all. Your microphones are muted, so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. And we'll also have a dedicated Q&A session in the last 15 minutes to address all your queries. Now, the virtual stage is all yours, Ms. Divkaran.
Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, we can.
Okay. I'm going to share a window with you all, so you'll let me know if you can see it.
Yes, ma'am.
And are you able to see when I switch to another window?
No, it's not the screen.
So you can see my screen, right?
Yes, we
The
can.
one with the black, which says mastering the communications, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get started. Welcome everyone to our session on mastering corporate communications. This presentation is, all about bridging the communication gap. Did I? Okay, I'm back. Apologies for this. It looked like I pressed some wrong button or something got disconnected. I'm going to share my screen again. Let me know if you can see it. Can you see the same slide again where we started?
No, ma'am, it's not visible now.
Try again. Sorry for all the confusion. Technology has its own weird way of not working exactly when you need it the most. So we'll try again and you'll let me know. Yeah, can you see it now?
Yes, yes, ma'am. It's
And
pretty much
yeah, and
visible
can you
now.
continue to see me as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's get started, right? So, like I was saying, so welcome to our session on mastering corporate communication. This presentation, like you just mentioned, is all about bridging the communication gap that many of us experience, especially when we are transitioning from campus to the corporate world. And today, for today's session, we'll be focusing on essential skills, specifically like writing effective emails, participating in professional meetings, and delivering impactful presentation, because that's something you would do day in and day out, no matter what role you are in, right? If you are in internal communications, branding, or any kind of PR role, you would probably need more in-depth communication, but this is your usual day-to-day etiquettes. And hopefully, by the end of this session, you'll have a toolkit sort of a thing on communication, pitfalls, what you can do, sort of your own little strategies that can help you thrive in your new role in the new, in the new world of corporate that you're going to face. Okay. Let's start with why communication is such a big deal in corporate world, right? It's not just about exchanging information. Good communication can actually shape your career. It will differentiate you. It will help you build a solid reputation. It will help you earn trust and make a lasting impact. And that's why I guess that's one of the reasons why the session is being conducted for you. But I also know, having gone through it, and I'm sure a lot of you have felt that way, is that it's not always easy, right? Especially for new professionals adapting to a formal language, understanding corporate jargon, and choosing the right medium, whether you send a message to someone, whether you send an email, whether you set a meeting. Understanding all of these could be challenging, especially because you will not be working with a group of friends, but there will be seniors, there'll be peers, there'll be juniors, there'll be people from different teams. And mastering these basics, however, can set you apart and accelerate your career growth. Now, first and most foremost is finding the right tone, professional versus informal. As you move from campus to corporate settings, one thing which is a big shift that you will notice is how you need to communicate. On campus, it's mostly casual. You'll use slangs, you will use, short words, quick message, friendly banter, what's up, hey, where you going? We all did that, But in the corporate world, you would need a slightly more formal tone, especially in emails, presentations, and official reports. Some of you would probably even get to do projects and reports. Of course, there's still room for informality. Like there are channels like Slack, MS Teams, so there are a lot of internal chats. Or, there might be some relaxed team meetings where you're just brainstorming or you're just looking for ideas. But the key here is to adapt your tone based on the situation, right? Remember, your tone can either enhance or hurt your professional image. One of the examples, that I always give is, we come across many personalities on screen. The way they give their interviews will help set the tone of perception that people have. So, for example, if you've looked at many interviews or many interactions that media has with Jaya Bachchan, I don't know what kind of a person she is, but she comes across as someone who's always angry, because that's the way the interaction goes. Compared to Amitabh Bachchan, who always comes across as this calm person on KBC or everywhere else, right? Again, we don't know how they really are, but how you communicate, this is a really good example of how you communicate, and that can set the tone of your image, your professional, sometimes even personal image being hurt by the tone. So first thing foremost, tone. When you move to corporate, make sure two things, right? One, start with being formal. Okay, never start with being informal and treating everybody like they're your buddy or sister or brother. They're not. Okay, they're not your family and your friends. At least when you go to the corporate world, 5, 6, 7 years down the line, you might end up making some good friends who really understand who you are, and so they're not bothered by how you communicate, but that will also start with setting the right tone. So start with the formal tone, okay, and then learn to adjust it based on the occasion and the person. Okay, for example, my current boss is um, very kind and empathetic and very not formal, okay, very informal, so as to say. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna go to him and say, hey buddy, how you are, right? I'm not gonna say, hey buddy, what's up. I'm still going to give him my due respect. Of course, I'm not gonna say something like, I want to bring your attention to so and so. I can reach out to him informally on MS Teams channel and say, hi, I just wanted to let you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So it's somewhere between formal and informal, but giving an example of how you adjust your tone based on people and based on, the occasion. Another example is, for example, if you're in a town hall, if you're hosting a town hall where all your leaders are there and you're presenting something about the numbers, right? Something about the work that you have done. You are not going to say, hey, how are you? Let's get into the mood. Can you give me a high five or something like that? You'll not do that. You'll start with saying, welcome here. It's not, we are honored to have some esteemed guests here, etc., etc. And then you start your presentation. Whereas if it's a Diwali celebration, sort of a thing in your office, then you can be a little informal. So occasion and people that you're talking to will also help you set the tone of what you're going to say and how you're going to say. Okay. Very important first thing, tone. Now we will move on to the email essentials, how to write emails that get results. Okay. Um, Writing effective emails is one of the most important skills you will need. The reason it is it because a lot of communication that you would do would be on emails, right? Especially in today's world where many of you would probably be in a global role. For example, I'm in a global role. A couple of my team members sit in US, different states. US has 4 time zones, right? Some of them sit in Singapore, some of them are sitting in Thailand. So again, one country is 2.5 hours away, one country is 1 hour away in terms of time zones. A couple of them sit here in India, some of them are in even Europe. So very, very important that a lot of work and communication of what you are expecting or replying to them on what they are expecting from you comes through emails, right? It cannot be through a live chat because we are not always online 24 hours. Um, Even for people who are in India and working in same time zone, the rules of the game are changing. You are all going to be working. Most of you are probably going to be working on or in companies where it's a hybrid model of work. So, you come to work for 3 days a week, 2 days a week, you are working from home, or you're working in India, but you're sitting in 2 different locations, right? So beyond time zone, also the flexibility in your schedule is coming in. And what happens is, again, you're not sitting next to each other, like maybe our parents did when they were in office. You're all sitting in the same place, you can talk to each other, not the case anymore. So emails and, meetings and, presentations and, talking through teams and technology becomes even more critical. And specifically for email, it starts with a very clear subject line because that sets the tone for your message. First impression, so as to say, right? For example, in our company, a lot of times, if it is urgent or critical, I would put that before the subject also. So it says important, need your approval today or something like that. Or if it is just a normal approval, just say approval needed and then you put in the subject. One of the other things that we also use is to say if it is an inform email, update email, or an ask email or an action email, right? So for example, like maybe let's say one of you wants to request some sort of data or some sort of document from another person, you can say request and need documents on so and so project, something like that. Or it could be an approval. So you can say approval colon um, need approval on so and so expense or travel expense or whatever that is, right? Or approval for a leave. It just helps the person who is looking at the email, because they're not going to look at the whole email in one go. Okay, they are going to look at what's the subject first and then decide whether they should read it or not, right? So make sure that your subject line is clear. It states, what you need from the other person. If it is just an information, if it is an approval, is it urgent, is it critical, and then go ahead with the email. Then you'll want to follow a structured approach after that, right? You can open with a polite greeting. We all know that. You can say up to you to say hello or, hi, whichever, kind of, again, going back to what the tone of the email is, right? Uh, Clearly state your purpose. One of the things that we do is old days, we used to have this, purpose, or when we used to write emails 20 years back, or, even letters, we used to very clearly state in the first line what we are asking. In my company at Seagate, we call it BLUF, bluff, bottom line upfront. What are you asking of me? Because you cannot put everything in the subject. It's a small place, right? So bottom line upfront, what are you really asking me for? So clearly state the purpose. So if we are talking about, let's say, an approval mail on expense reimbursement for a recent travel that you had for company, the subject line could say approval needed, colon, I don't know, Delhi trip in May or something like Delhi trip for sales, for example. Okay, or Delhi trip for meeting XYZ customer, whichever it is. Then you can say, hi, let's say Tanisha, hi Tanisha, or hello Tanisha, and then we can say, uh, need your approval to get the reimbursement for the recent Delhi trip which I made for meeting XYZ customer. Okay, and then you go ahead writing any details that you need. Okay, you owe it to them. You can't just leave bluff and say, you make your own assumptions and approve it afterwards, right? So then you have to go ahead and say your main message very concisely. Okay, avoid writing long emails if they are not needed, right? If it's a say an announcement of a launch in a company, slightly longer mail might be okay, but try to keep your email as concise, right? Research say that today the attention span is less than 10 seconds. We're all watching 30-second TikTok videos. So don't expect someone to go through a 5-minute article in your email. Okay, so be very, very concise. One of the ways to do that is when you're drafting your email, think what are the 3 things? Don't think beyond that. Okay, 3 top things or 3 things that you want to convey or ask through that email, and draft your email around that. If you can do it in points, even better, right? It's always very clear when you put it in points, and make sure it's not more than 3, maybe 5 points. Anything beyond that, people will lose track. Okay, so think of that attention span, right? And deliver your main message concisely, and finish with a call to action if there is anything, right? For example, when I write an email to my team, I always end with saying, uh, make sure to do this by so and so date. So that's a clear call to action. Or like if I want them to go and, attend a session like this, I would write an email and say, make sure to register and let me know if you need anything, something like that. Okay, but end with a clear call to action if there is, or if you're writing, in uh, you know uh, for approval, you can say please approve, right? Or if you're writing as a thank you email, just responding to someone Please let me know if you need anything. Thank you for whatever you needed it for, right? So that is where your email should end, and then of course the end greeting. So I generally, for example, use thanks and then sign off my name, or regards, depending. So if I'm they did something for me, I would say thanks. If I'm asking something of them, I will say thanks. But if it's just an informational email, update email, I generally say regards. Some people say best regards. Some people even say cheers. But again, you have to see who you're talking to. I don't use cheers, right? But just sharing it, sometimes it's okay to do that. Okay. Maybe you're celebrating, someone's birthday, you're celebrating some big milestone, someone got an award, someone achieved something, right? So tone and occasion, very important. One common mistake, like I said, is using long, winded sentences or jargons that can confuse the reader. Okay. For example, if I start using love, leader's intent, I don't know, OTM or something like that, which you all don't understand. If I start speaking without explaining that, you will all get confused. Okay. So try to use like I say, the KISS formula. Keep it simple, sweet. Okay. Don't use long winded sentences or jargon. Keep your sentences short. Make sure you use less jargon. And you're working in a company, sometimes it's everybody understands it. There'll still be people who don't. So we are using something like, let's say, OTM, which is, let's say, Oracle Transport Management. In your email, wherever you're using it for the first time, OTM, first you say Oracle Transport Management, in brackets, say OTM, and then continue using that jargon wherever, or, the short form wherever. So, even if someone is new, even if someone who doesn't know, they will understand what you're saying, but try to avoid as much as possible. Keep it simple, professional, and think of your emails also, by the way, as a reflection of your attention to detail and professionalism. So just like way you speak, way you communicate visibly can have an impression, the way you write your emails will also reflect. If you're making a lot of spelling mistakes, if you're writing someone's name incorrectly, that's a missed on attention of detail, and that shows that you're not putting in an effort. And so that can also um, piss people off. Like for me, a lot of messages that I get, by the way, because my name is very neutral, Divkiran, a lot of people assume because I'm at a certain position, earlier, because I was in the technology world, a lot of people assume this is a male name. So they would kind of, say Mr. Divkiran. And that gives me a clear indication that they haven't even gone on LinkedIn. They don't know who I am. They just got my email address and they're just writing to me for something. I do not respond to them, right? I would expect a little bit of research just to know what I do, who I am, before you're asking me of something when you don't know me, right? So cold sales call, think about them. Um, Even internally, a lot of people who making a mistake once in a while is okay. But imagine if someone is writing an email to you and always using, again, giving you an example, there was a person I knew who used to use he for me, despite knowing that I am a she. And those are my preferred pronouns because my name says Divkiran, she/her, right? Very clearly. Um, and I corrected them a couple of times, but they continued. This just shows that they don't care, right? Or that just shows the professionalism. So if you write clear emails, you're also saving somebody else's time. If you're not making a lot of mistakes, they understand you and your message well. And over a period of time, sometimes there are important emails that you would write. They will set the tone of how people perceive you. They'll even get you compliments sometimes. Okay. So remember that. Another important thing which we will move on from is the meeting. So mastering the meeting etiquettes, that making every interaction count, because in meetings now you are starting to interact one on one with people. You're no more on emails, and they are a big part of corporate life, especially as you grow in your role. Sometimes out of the 8 to 10 hours that you work, 5 to 6 hours might be meeting, right? Meetings, they are an opportunity to really make a good impression. Preparation, number one, is the key. Okay. If you're not prepared, if you don't know what you're going to discuss, if you're not sharing and reviewing the agenda, if you are not sharing any information in advance, you're wasting somebody else's time, right? Nobody wants someone who wastes their time. We all go to movies, for example, right? We feel very disappointed that we spent money and time on a 3 hour movie or a 2 hour movie, which was not good. And then we come out and crib about it. And, we give it really bad reviews, right? It doesn't do well. It doesn't earn money, despite the fact that even in a, and I'm, like I say, pardon my French, but even in a really bad and shitty movie, there is effort that these actors, actresses, director have put in. There is money that goes into it. There is so many, cameramen, dadas, and everybody who works day in, day out to create a movie. There's a lot of effort by technicians that goes in. We still crib about it. We still criticize it. Why? Because it wasted our time and money. If it was free, we may not be as hurt, right? So make sure that you always have an agenda. Number one, okay, prepare. And always share anything that somebody needs to read in advance or any information that they would need to come to the meeting. Okay, so think about that. Anything that does not need a meeting, right? It may be a pre-read. Please read this so you get an idea of it. Share it with them. Okay. If it is a presentation, if you can share it in advance with them, it will also help. If it's a brief, if you cannot share the whole presentation, it's okay. Share a brief about it, but always share the purpose and any preparation that even your uh, audience or the people who are attending the meeting need. Okay. Uh, that's again your opportunity to make a good impression. Okay. Always review the agenda, think of questions you might have, put them there, and set clear objectives. Like I said, what is the outcome that you want from that meeting? Is it again just an inform? You're asking people to come and look at the presentation. Is it an ask that you want them to come up with some ideas? You want them to come up with a data? Is there a decision that you need to take in that meeting? For example, we work with a lot of vendors. Are we looking to select a vendor in that meeting, or we have selected a vendor and we are only just going to talk about how to raise the purchase request, or we are not even decided on the vendor and we are here to just look at the requirements or how to finalize the process, the vendor or the RFP, request for proposal process, right? So what's the objective? What's the outcome? So uh, what information do your meeting attendees need before coming to the meeting? Um, Share it with them. What's the agenda? What are you going to discuss with them? Share it with them. What is the objective? What is the outcome you're expecting of them? You might find it very interesting, but a lot of time as you start working, uh, the meetings keep getting bigger. A lot of people keep getting added just for FYI. But if you share this information with them, they will come up to you and say, I have nothing to do with this. I can skip this meeting. So it'll help them save time as well. Okay. And once you're in the meeting, number one, if you are setting the meeting, be punctual as much as you can. Sometimes, like I have back to back meetings, or there could be a tech issue like we had today. But starting on time will also set the tone for your professionalism. Okay. So be punctual. If you are the host, start the meeting on time, listen actively and contribute when appropriate, right? So if you're attending a meeting and you're on the other side, listen. Really listen, you'll absorb a lot, you'll learn a lot, and speak when it's needed. A lot of time, sorry, coming from college, we have the idea of speaking up for participation, right? Because we get marks for participating when we are in college. Not the case in corporate. Listen to everybody, absorb, and speak up where you think you're adding value. Ask questions if you don't understand, right? But don't speak just only for the sake of speaking. And once you're done with the meeting, and if you're the host, don't forget the follow up. Okay. It is just as important as the meeting itself. Have your minutes of meeting. What are the main discussion points? If there is anything left as an open item, something that was not closed, um, anything which was put in the parking lot to be discussed later, any action items, right? So have a minute of the meetings, right? And put in what was discussed, who needs to do what. And that shows that you're in control of the situation. It shows that you are a reliable team member. Your boss can rely on you because you have everything under control. And it also helps build trust with your colleagues, knowing that you're on top of things. Okay, so follow up is also always important. Okay, with this, we'll now move on to the next one, which is your presentation skills. Again, extremely important. This is a whole big session. Presentation skills in itself could be a huge topic, but we'll just touch upon it briefly today because it's a huge part of presenting is a huge part of communication within corporate. So whether you love them, whether you dread them, they are really a powerful way to showcase your knowledge. Okay, we'll quickly brush through it, but the secret is a clear structure. Okay, start strong, maintain focus in the middle. Um, Starting strong means, again, go back to the 3 points that you want your audience to take away when you're presenting. What's the purpose that you're presenting? Maintain focus in the middle, use data wherever possible to convey your points. Use visuals. People remember visuals more than text. Okay, and then end with a memorable conclusion, right? um, Powerful strong ending, so even if people kind of went somewhere in the middle, they'll come back. Again, videos are a very great way of engaging people. If you can, visuals are a great way of engaging people. And in your conclusion, also make sure you repeat those 3 points. Again, it could be 1 point, it could be 5 points, but I generally try to keep it at 3 because otherwise people will not remember. That's the magic number. So end with a memorable conclusion and remind them what are the points that you discussed. Okay, visuals, like I said, can be your best friend. They help clarify complex points and keep your audience engaged. So if you're presenting data, for example, don't put an Excel table there, put a graph. If I'm for example going to say that something like communication is important, as you saw on the first slide, see if there is a matching picture that you can put up. Okay, um during and have a Q&A in the end, like we will have today. During the Q&A, be confident, listen carefully and answer thoughtfully. Very important. You will not always know everything. Okay, you can know everything sometimes. On some topics you can know some things all the time, but you will never know all the things all the times. Okay, so answer thoughtfully. What you don't know, say you will get back to them, or you will get them in touch with the right person, and then follow up. By the way, follow up, don't leave it hanging. Remember that a well delivered presentation can again significantly influence how your ideas are received. So if you are presenting a new idea, it's something you own, it will be only as convincing as you are. I don't know how many of you watch Shark Tank, for example, right? People who are more confident, who know their content, who are able to explain their ideas well, generally end up getting the money, or they generally end up getting the sharks on their side, versus someone who's not very confident, who's not able to explain their ideas well, right? So remember that. How you present can significantly influence how your ideas are received, how you are received as well. Okay, now moving on to general communications. Okay, we've talked about the message tone, emails, meetings, presentations, but general communication is also extremely important. Effective communication isn't just about the message, it's also about choosing the right channel, right? And you will have multiple channels. You probably already use that, right? Sometimes you call your friends, sometimes you WhatsApp your friends, sometimes you Snapchat, sometimes you, as you say, on the gram, right? So general rule is that you use email for more formal matters where you want things to be recorded, for example. that I did send this mail, or I followed it up, etc. Instant messaging is generally for quick exchanges, right? You want something, you need a very small information, you message someone and say, can you help me with this? Done. And phone calls or Teams calls or any calls are generally for urgent discussions. Okay. Um, Meetings are for more long-term discussions. So if I need something from Tanisha, like I was not able to get in initially, I called Tanisha, hey, I'm not able to get in. And then I was able to get in, right? So that's urgent. But before that, we were communicating formally over email. And then today, when she was reminding me that, we are starting in 20 minutes, it was somewhere in between. It was a quick exchange. So it was on messages. But the meeting today that you see on your calendar was set up long time back. So it's for long-term discussion. So also, again, reminding you, even in chats, maintain professionalism, keep your message clear and concise and respectful. So that tone always keeps coming back. Again, the key is to really adapt your communication style to the platform you're using and the people you're addressing. Okay. Um, then building your communication confidence, extremely important, right? We've talked about communicate this, communicate that, communicate through email, what is your tone, etc. But confidence is really crucial when it comes to communication. If you're not confident, if I keep telling you, yeah, I feel, I think, maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, let me see. For some things, it's okay. I'm not global Gyani. I don't know everything, right? But still, confidence comes from how you write, how you work. So it's crucial when it comes to communication. And the best way to build it is through preparation. Um, Whatever you write, whenever you communicate, you should know your content, you should know your material, right? And that's why you would see that sometimes early careers versus someone who's the CEO of a company would be more confident because, of course, they know they have the experience of 20 years. But you don't have to wait for 20 years, 25 years to get to a leadership position and then be confident, right? It's the other way around. If you're confident, you will get there faster, right? Know your content, know everything. Don't just brush up, like the InShot app, which gives you briefs of, I think, books or news in very short, 3, 4 points. Don't do that. It's okay when you're reading something else, but for your own work, for your own content, you should know everything. Um, and practice your delivery, right? Whenever you're going in a presentation, whenever you're talking to someone, sometimes even for your emails or for your messages, practice, read it 10 times, up, the way you give exams and then you read to ensure the answers are right. Read it a couple of times. Sometimes, for example, when I'm very angry with something, um, and I'm writing an email, I write it, I keep it in my saved drafts and just read it again after a couple of hours because I don't want to send out an angry email. So I correct my tone always. So read it again and again. Don't be afraid to express your ideas clearly, even if it means asking for help or more information. That's okay. Mistakes are inevitable, but there are also opportunities to improve, right? So if you make a mistake, be kind to yourself and improve, learn from there. Someone tells you this is not right, embrace feedback, learn from it. Even if they're being very, very critical of you, keep the criticism apart, think what you can improve, and you'll find yourself growing stronger as a communicator. Um, Quickly again on some of the common pitfalls, especially I'm talking about the current generation. Okay, it's not to say that it is wrong, but it is just some pitfalls we all have in younger generation. When I was young, I had the same pitfalls. Okay, so while we are on the subject of communication, first, avoid using overly casual language in formal settings. It can undermine your credibility. Okay, don't call your boss bro, okay, brother, bro, whatever it is. Recently, there was something like similar that happened. We reached out to a new intern to talk about hiring and creating a job description, and the response I got was, "Sure, I'll do it, bro." First of all, I am not bro. Second of all, that's not how you talk to anybody in the organization, unless they're really your friends for 10 years, right? So first, avoid using overly casual language in formal settings. It can undermine your credibility. Next, don't over communicate. Sometimes to, make our point, we keep communicating the same thing, or we'll write, like I said, long essays. Be concise and make sure your message is relevant to the recipient, right? So do your study. Don't send incorrect messages to everybody. A lot of people, for example, when we send out emails to everyone, they will do a reply all, oh, I did not understand it. Reply it only to the person who's written to you, not to everyone. Okay. And be mindful of your tone again for the nth time, especially in written communication where it's easy to be misinterpreted. On chat, a lot of times we'll write short messages. There's a big chance it is misinterpreted. So avoid these pitfalls. It'll help you maintain a professional image. And if you do that, all of this will help you building strong relationships, because strong relationships are built on effective communication. Being respectful and considerate in all interactions is the foundation of trust. None of you will also interact with someone who's disrespectful of you, right? So why would someone else talk to you if they are not showing trust? Not saying that you are disrespectful, but how you communicate can come across that, right? Listen actively, especially during feedback, to understand their perspective. Ask questions. Build rapport with colleagues and leaders through open and honest communication. Not only makes work more enjoyable, but also creates a more positive and productive work environment, which will in turn help you when you're a team member and help you grow once you become a manager of people or a leader, right? Because you'll continue that positivity. So, as we wrap up, remember that great communication is about empathy, patience, and adaptability. These are my three takeaways for all of you. Be empathetic, understand others' perspective, and adapt your style based on audience and context. Most importantly, communication is a continuous journey. Okay. So, embrace feedback and use it to refine your skill. It's a skill. You'll always be improving. So stay curious and be committed to your growth. Okay. So now it's your turn. Do you have any questions or anything you would want to dig deeper on? We can do that.
Let me just open the chat box. I'll read out to you the questions that our audience have. So the first question that we have is from Amit. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today. Ma'am, how to handle virtual meetings? I mean, what mannerism is expected?
Thank you for your kind words, Amit. For virtual meeting, I think the mannerism and everything should remain the same as any, one-on-one meeting. The only difference is you're probably allowed to wear a pajama instead of being in a trouser, right? So jokes apart, I think the mannerism remains same. If you are the host, especially, it would really help if you have your cameras on. Okay. Give everybody time to speak up. What happens a lot of times in virtual meetings is that we don't see everybody's body language. Somebody is trying to speak up. In a physical meeting room, you'll be able to see and you will be able to say, okay, you had a point. Can you share that? Be mindful of that. Sometimes it's not easy. So be careful of who is speaking, who's not speaking. Maybe have a friend of yours in the team or another team member, be cognizant of noticing who is trying to bring up a point and allow them to speak. A lot of people are not actively involved when you're doing virtual meetings. So call out their names if you feel like they may have something to add. Okay. Have a note taker because you're presenting sometimes. For example, when I was presenting right now, I couldn't take notes, which you could do probably in a face-to-face meeting. Have a note taker appointed. And just because you're on camera, don't forget your body language. Very, very important, right? Virtually, a lot of times we can tune out. It's still disrespectful, right, to whoever is presenting. So as a host, especially, don't look on your phone, don't look on the emails. For example, if I show you my screen, I've turned off all my emails, all my messages so that I can focus on this session. Okay. So It's slightly harder to do it in virtual world, but pretty much the same game, rules of the game apply here. I hope that helped.
Yes, ma'am. The next question that we have is from Aditya. Hello, ma'am. Happy Diwali. Thank you so much for your time today. Ma'am, I am very shy and introvert. What can I do to improve my speaking skills?
Happy Diwali, Aditya. Thank you for that. I think one thing which you could do, or rather, I would say two things, which really helped me because I used to have a lot of stage fright. If you see me doing this today, not using a lot of ums and ahs, which are the fillers, right? Two things. One, know your content. Okay. If you know your content, if you're solid about your content, if you know everything that you're speaking, you will not fumble. So that will make you confident. For example, if I ask you about your mom, your dad, your friend, or the subject that you love, or the movie that you love, songs that you listen to, artists that you like, or your hobby, which you kind of do every day, day in and day out, you'll not think twice before speaking because you know this inside out. So know your content inside out. Number one, nobody can beat you if you know your content inside out. Number two, prepare. Okay, go in front of the mirror, prepare your presentation 100 times if you need to. I still remember the first time I won an internal design jam, Shark Tank sort of a thing. We were supposed to present an elevator pitch of the product that we were selling in 2 minutes, and we had only 30 seconds to answer the question. Okay, we started with about 40 slides in our deck. It was a team of 3 people, and we reduced it to about 5 or 6 slides towards the end because we only had 2 minutes. And I practiced for 21 times the speech that we had written, changing it multiple times, and then again for 5 to 10 times, 5, 6 times when it was final. So I know what I'm speaking. So I already know my content. I know what we presented. I know what the idea was. The team helped with the tech, etc. But to say it in 2 minutes, it was very, very hard. And we had to do it again and again and again and again to make sure we don't miss the more important part. So prepare, go in front of the camera, go in front of your friends. So when I won 40 under 40, we had to present to a jury of CHROs and CEOs. And I presented to myself, then I presented to my husband, then I called 2 of my friends to come home and I presented in front of them at least 3, 4 times. And then feedback. I took the feedback and adopted it. So from outside, sometimes it looks like people who are successful are doing very well. Oh, they are great, but they put in a lot of hard work to get there. So there's no easy way. Make sure you know what you're presenting very, very well, very, very well. Know about it, learn about it, and kind of make sure that you are presenting it 100 times if you need before you actually do the final presentation. Now, sometimes we're not confident about speaking skills because we're not very sure about our language skills. Okay. That's also, again, something you can learn if that's the case, right? Doesn't look like that's the case, but if, sometimes you're not very sure of the language or the content, you can always use ChatGPT now. You can always use Gemini now to look at your speech, review it. And that, I think, answers the next question as well from Prachi. Which platform can we rely upon when drafting emails and messages? Use ChatGPT. You can say what tone you want. You can say who you are writing to. You can say if you want it formal, if you want it professional, if you want it friendly, if you want it informal, whatever it is, you can ask it. But also you will have to learn how to use the platform because otherwise it will keep giving you the same answers, same format of emails. For example, whenever you ask it to write an email to thank someone, it will say, I want to take a moment of my precious time. It will always start with that line, right? So be smart about it. But you can use Chat GPT, Gemini, etc. I would suggest that you first write your own email, then ask ChatGPT what are the improvements so you can learn what you can do next time. Because for something as small as writing an email or a chat message, ChatGPT will take more time. For bigger things, it saves time. What you can do in 2 minutes, if you know how to write an email with the right tone, it will take probably 10 minutes to do a question answer with ChatGPT. So use it to learn, but write your own emails first.
Okay, that was pretty impressive, ma'am. The next question that we have is from Akash. Ma'am, what platforms can we use to develop effective corporate communication skills? I mean, when writing formal mails and messages.
So I think I answered that earlier. You can use any of these free chat GPT emails. Nowadays, we also have Copilot available in many companies. You would have to check what your company allows and doesn't allow. But you can also form your own learning paths now on these tools. So you can go to chat GPT, say, write a prompt like suggest a day by day learning path and plan for me to develop effective corporate communication skills, and give me practice exercises as well. So it will do the learning plan for you and you can just follow it. But again, practice makes everyone perfect. I don't want to say man, it's not very inclusive, but practice makes us perfect. So practice. Again, write it yourself first, then ask it to verify. Ask your friends, ask your superiors, find mentors who can help you. But yeah, you'll still have to put in the hard work. It will not do the hard work for you.
All right, so the next question that we have is from Sakshi. Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for the insightful information. I want to ask that how do you ensure that constructive feedback is well received and doesn't create resistance? One more question also, ma'am. Could you share some techniques for active listening, especially in fast-paced environments?
Ooh, that's a session in itself. But generally, to quickly say constructive feedback, this is from a point of view when you're giving it. Uh, just like the receiver, you also need to be very open minded. Okay. um, Constructive feedback should not come after 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 1 year, when someone does something wrong and then you pile up the previous feedback as well to them. So first of all, make it immediate. When you notice something, when you see something, reach out to the person and give the feedback then and there, so it doesn't feel like you're sitting on it, festering it, and then giving it. Okay. Second of all, the language, again, extremely important. Don't make it about the person. Don't say you did this wrong, your slide was not good, your presentation lacked XYZ. No. Constructive feedback is to say what can you improve. um, I think what we can, for example, one way of saying it, I think what we can improve in this slide is maybe the colors. So instead of red, if we used green, it would be more pleasant to the eyes. The white is more calming. Maybe try that next time, right? So slight nudging and saying what can be improved rather than saying what is wrong. I think those are the 2 points. If we generally follow, it is constructive feedback. One of the other things that a lot of people do is also bring out what's positive, right? Because it's not always something that's wrong. Pick something that was done well as well. So they know that you're not criticizing them for the sake of it. You are actually analyzing what they did. You are saying this was amazing, but this can be improved. Don't make it about the person. Don't make it about the mistake. What can be improved is what you should focus on. And then active listening, again, a session in itself. But whenever you go to a meeting, whenever you talk to someone, put your phone down, put your phone on silent, keep it away, hide it somewhere. That's the biggest distraction today. Just by being respectful to that person, and I'm assuming the other person is also equally respectful, uh, will make a lot of difference. Second of all, even if there are points where you disagree, a lot of times we want to just, but this is what we do. We want to jump at the opportunity to say our things. Don't. Just absorb everything. Even if you're not agreeing with that person, be open minded and think what if what they are saying is done, will it work? Okay, so being open minded is very important. And don't reply or don't listen to reply. Listen to really absorb what they are saying. Very hard to do. I'm not perfect at it. I also make that mistake sometimes, even today, but it helps when you go with an open mind and say, I'm not going in there to just prove my point. I'm going in there to present my point and know what other people are thinking. Are there better ways to do this? Right? So, just that couple of things would help. We have one more question.
Yes. So we have the last question. It's from Gaurav. Ma'am, I want to ask if assertiveness initiative can be misjudged for being overly aggressive.
It can, yes, but also most people know the difference between aggressive and assertive and passive aggressive. Okay. Aggression is really when you're like really pushing and not giving anybody any chance to say anything, and you're just the loudest voice in the room. And then when you grow, maybe you become a team leader, and then you're forcing authority on everyone, saying, no, I want it this way. That is aggression. Okay, it's very obvious. Assertiveness is more in the behavior, right? You are calm, you would not shout. Active listening, we talked about. You listen, you look at the fair points that everybody is making, and then you approach things with, again, an open mind and data or point of proof. Okay, to give you an example, couple of days back, actually in my last job, we were discussing about how should we communicate the new launch to everyone. Should we do it by email? Should the email go from the CHRO? Should the email go from the CEO or CHRO and the business leader? Some sort of that communication was going on. That's based on best practices. And we were discussing with the internal comms, but they don't have a way, or they have never sent an email through the CEO. Okay. And so we discussed uh, how it is put across is very, very important. So one person went and said, this is what we need. This has been decided. This is what we are going to do. That's not being assertive. That was aggressive. And then we went and discussed again and said, this is the best practices out there in the market. Most people who have done it, or most companies who have been successful at this launch, have done it this way. Let's try it this way. What are the other things you can do? That's being assertive, right? Because at the end of the day, the purpose is that this launch should be successful. It should reach most people. Most people should log in on day one. So talking about purpose and talking about what you feel is best with data or proof points, that's assertiveness. Okay. Um, and I think assertiveness is different from taking initiative, right? You could be very unassertive, you could be very non-aggressive, and you could still take initiative. Okay. And even after all of this, if someone really, really does misunderstand you, even if you think you're doing the best, you've taken the feedback from two other people and they're saying there's nothing wrong in what you're doing, and someone is still misunderstanding you, then it's their problem. Sometimes it's somebody else's problem, not yours. Okay. Um, I will take initiative if I have time and if I want to grow in my career. Why will I not? I will not stop taking initiative just because someone else is misunderstanding me. As they say, you're not coffee, you cannot make everyone happy all the time. Or you're not, whatever you want to say, gulab jamun cake, whatever, you cannot make everyone happy all the time.
Okay. So I believe that we are pretty much done with all the questions that our audience had. Yes. So we don't have any more questions. Okay. All right. So yes, by this we have come to the end of this session. So as we wrap up today's insightful session, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Ms. Devkiran Kathuria for sharing her invaluable expertise on mastering corporate communication skills. Ms. Devkiran, your wisdom and practical advice have given us all a strong foundation for excelling in the professional world. The communication strategies and insights you have shared today will empower each of us to approach our careers with confidence, purpose, and clarity, making a lasting impact in any corporate environment. To our audience, thank you for your active participation and thought provoking questions. Your engagement is what makes these sessions so enriching. We are confident that the knowledge you have gained today is a powerful stepping stone towards your future success. We hope you found this session inspiring and enlightening. Stay tuned for more in our 24 in 2024 The Changemakers of India series, where we continue to bring you closer to top industry leaders and equip you with the skills you need to thrive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and continue striving to make a difference. Have a wonderful day ahead, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care and happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali to you too, ma'am. Okay, if you guys allow me a moment, I would like to tell you about our WhatsApp community channel, the link of which I'm dropping in the chat box. Yes, here you have it.